Okay.
Hey guys, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but there's a little known stereotype floating around. It says that Asians are bad drivers. Well, I'm here to say that that's wrong. It's actually women who are bad drivers. No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, brown, or purple. If you're a bad driver, you're a bad driver. Which leads me to my point. Today I'm going to be talking about potentially increasing the driving age from 16 to 18. Now, I know that this isn't exactly a popular position, but I think it has a lot of benefits to our society. Today I'm going to be talking about why teenagers are unsuitable drivers, the possible benefits of society, and the potential to decrease the amount of car-related deaths. So about a year ago, I was at a family get-together, and my cousin and I were hanging out, and I don't know why, but there wasn't any food, and we were really hungry. So we wanted to go get lunch. And since I didn't bring my car, it was her responsibility to drive us. So we start walking to the car, and then I realized that she's 16, Asian, and a chick. So I knew right away I was in trouble. But In-N-Out makes some damn good burgers, so I was like, right, let's go. So we start driving, and then she gets on the freeway. And a couple minutes into the drive, someone texts her, and I thought she was just going to ignore it, but she picks it up and she starts texting him as she's driving. What? Like, you're in a metal box attached to some rubber tires going 70 miles an hour with other metal boxes around you fighting for position, and you think it's okay to barely touch the steering wheel and text someone back? It's like ridiculous. So the first main point that I want to get into is why teenagers are unsuitable drivers. There's a reason why teenagers are 4 times more likely to get in an accident, according to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. And there's a reason why their insurance costs so much more than their parents. There's a reason why they're more likely to speed and text while driving. It's called dopamine. For people who aren't familiar with it, dopamine is a chemical in your brain. Is a chemical that your brain produces that's associated with happiness. Dr. Steinberg, a member of the National Committee of Science of Adolescence, says that there's actually a rapid increase in the amount of dopamine in the brain that a teenager produces. There's actually so much that during the adolescent stage, you have more dopamine than at any other stages of your life. So since teenagers seek pleasurable experiences, this oftentimes leads to sex, drugs, fighting, or seeking thrills like speeding on the road. Another thing that's affecting them is that their prefrontal cortex, which is located right around here, which is responsible for complicated thought, weighing risk and reward, and making judgments, isn't nearly as developed as someone a couple years older. My second point I want to get into is the potential benefits it has to society. Now, don't get me wrong. I know not all of these will happen, but by increasing the driving age, that means there's going to be less cars on the road. Less cars on the road means less traffic, and it's going to help out with congestion, and it's going to help have traffic flow easier. Not only will we be happier, but Mother Nature will also be happier. Because with fewer cars on the road, cars are a major source of pollution, especially produce a lot of carbon, which contributes to climate change and air pollution. According to the Environmental Defense Fund, cars in the U.S. produce over 300 million tons of carbon dioxide yearly. That's around that's about one-fifth of the world's total carbon dioxide emissions. With that being said, anything we can do to reduce pollution should probably be considered. The last point I want to make, and probably the most meaningful one, is that it could reduce the amount of car-related deaths. I don't think anyone's going to argue with me when I say that life should be cherished, and we should do everything we can to protect it. Raising the driving age will without a doubt cut down the amount of accidents. Major car crashes are the leading cause of accidents from from 15 to 20-year-olds. And in 2007, it caused over 3,000 teenage deaths, says the Rocky Mountain Insurance Association. Now, imagine this. It's a sunny afternoon in Florida, and you're excited because today's a special day. Today is a day where you get to take your 29-day-old baby for her first stroll in the park. So you put her in the stroller, you strap her in nice and snug, and you give her a favorite toy. Just a couple of steps into your walk, you see a car zooming towards you. So this, for Michelle Cotra, this wasn't just a daydream in the classroom. This was reality. She only had a couple seconds to respond, and luckily she was able to push her baby out of the way, but she herself was struck and died instantly. Florida prosecutors say that the driver, a 27-year-old student, made his corner in his personal runway, ignoring the stop signs and speeding around the corner. There has to be a better system than what we have. Before I end the speech, I want to respond to some common arguments to increasing the driving age. I know what you're probably going to say. Driving is essential in our society, and it would create a lot of stress for parents if they continue to drive their kids around. Are we really going to let 2 years of driving your kid around stop us from potentially cutting down the death rates related to cars? It seems that saving human lives weighs a little more than not wanting to drive your kid around for another 2 years. And what about the teenagers that are great drivers? Why do they have to be punished too? Well, I imagine that there's some teenagers who are great drivers and some 30-year-olds that are terrible drivers. But realistically and statistically, it shows that teenage drivers can't be trusted. It shows that they're going to speed. It shows they're going to run stop signs, and it shows that they're going to text while driving. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm a great driver. I'm probably just average. But by doing a little research, it shows that doing a little research about increasing the driving age and about doing a little research on how teenagers aren't suitable drivers, the potential benefits of society, and the possibility to cut down the car-related deaths, this seems like something we should reconsider. Thank you.
So, Dom, what did you think?
One of the things that he told us not to do is like stand behind the podium, and that's one of the things that kind of caught my attention. And then another thing was that he kept on looking up and down, and it's like really being repetitive. He spoke good. He spoke a little soft. Like, he could have raised the volume just a little, but not too much. But overall, I thought the speech was good. And I agree with the speech.
They're insane. Although
It doesn't reflect what you say.
the emotional appeal that you have with the example of the woman who pushes her baby out of the way, it sounds to me like it happened with a 27-year-old driver, which is a little bit outside of the context of your argument. So I'm not sure it really advances that point. I like the humor at the beginning of the speech, and I like the way you used it to get the speech started. You build some credibility. You kind of let us know what's coming, and you talked about the potential threat really well. I think that there's a lot of information about young drivers that needs to be added a little bit more here. You've got a good cause-effect claim on the dopamine thing, but here's a place where another example, and some of those statistics that you had later on about the number of accidents or the, for instance, why the insurance rates are the way they are would probably fit in pretty well with that. I did not think that the second point made much sense, where you're talking about the pollution issues, especially since you didn't really document how many fewer cars there would be, and especially if parents are going to be driving their kids around anyway, then there is a car on the road. You know, it's you say fewer cars, but it might be the same amount of miles, because now, in addition to driving to work, they also have to drive them to school or to their basketball practice or whatever it happens to be.